Good morning, guys, and welcome back to Dusting Off Warlord Saga of the Storm, featuring Jodin Drac. So this is one of the big ones in my opinion. This is one of the most classic warlords ever made. I also think this is extremely subjective, what I'm about to say, but a lot of us have warlords we don't like playing against. Like, I hate playing against, like, Etra Bloodvine. I think he's horribly designed. He's unfun to play against, and it's like, I'd rather just scoop. I'm sure there are people who don't like playing against things like the Nemesis or Averis Glyn, things like that. Even when Jodin Drac is punching you in the face, everyone seems to like this guy, so, because he's awesome. So Jodin Drac is a level 6 Deverenian fighter. He is, I believe, the only level 6 warlord in the game who is just level 6 and doesn't need any kind of gimmick to pretend like he's level 6, something like Zod. He's got a plus 8 attack and a plus 6 attack. He's got 15 armor class, plus 7 skill, and 3 hit points. Again, back in the day, most of the fighter warlords did not get that 4th hit point, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is. He actually has a bunch of techs, too. So he may equip 2 weapons, which is pretty awesome. And if Drac is your warlord, all of your other Deverenian fighters within 1 rank of him have plus 2 attack and plus 1 armor class. Because, again, pre-campaign, you could actually play more warlords in your deck, and a lot of them had some text like this that said the ability only works if they're your warlord. Got rid of that once campaign dropped because you could no longer include other warlords in your deck. Those were days of glory, let me tell you. But so normally when I am deck building, like when I've said, you know what, I feel like making a new deck for a new warlord. If I we'll say like Lair John Hawthorne, okay? I'm like, okay, I have a core group of cards I want with him. I want Shot on the Run. I want things like that. I want Spring Attack. And once I have assembled the core pool of cards that I want for him, I usually have anywhere from 8 to 16 card slots left. And then I can kind of customize the deck how I want to. I can add in just cards that I like, maybe some counters to things I might be worried about. And it gives it its own, my own personal, touch to it. Jodin Drac is the exact opposite of that. When I try to build Jodin Drac decks, almost invariably, once I have all the core stuff that I want, I have like a stack of like 80 cards, and I'm like, okay, I need to trim off a lot of this, because Jodin Drac wants to do so many things at once. Probably more than any other, in my opinion, probably more than any other warlord in the game. And a lot of that stems down to the fact that he's level 6, which, again, that's largely, I think, why you're playing him. But, again, his 2 weapons ability, you want to take advantage of that. And you tend to want to have other fighters, dev fighters, to get that buff. It's not a huge buff, but it is something. So, yeah. It's really hard to talk about Jodin Drac without mentioning Pit Fight. So, this card was released in Dominance along with Jodin. It's a very straightforward card. It's a spend order. The action itself is level 2. Target a lower level character up to 3 ranks away to perform an attack without spending, with all melee strikes targeting that character. After the attack, the target is still in play. He or she may... Now, this is interesting. They don't have to do this. They may perform an attack without spending, with all melee strikes targeting this character. So, you can play this pit fight with other warlords. Notably, Quartet Firefist, I think he does pit fight very, very well. But most other warlords don't really play this. At least I don't ever see them play this, because if their warlord is level 5 and yours is level 5, you can't use this. But since Jodin's level 6, practically anything in the game is it's a target for this. And this is a full attack you get from 3 ranks away, which is, yeah, that's pretty nice. So, again, I'm pretty sure Jodin was designed with Pit Fight in mind, or vice versa. I mean, they came in the same set, and again, I don't really see Pit Fight anywhere else outside of, again, Quartet Firefist. So most of the time, all the time, when I'm building a Jodin deck, Pit Fight it's in the back of my mind. It's almost always included. Not always, but 99% of the time it's included. And that's the goal of the deck. The goal of the deck is to get Jodin within 3 ranks of their warlord and play Pit Fight and hopefully end the game. Not usually too big of a deal against other frontliners. Like, it almost becomes almost a dead card at that point, but for all those wizards and clerics who don't want to come to the front, they have to be pretty far back for this not to get them. So, yeah. Also, unlike my other videos where I try to keep things kind of organized, I guess, like I have my character section, my action section, my item section, this is going to be all over the place because Jodin Drac is all over the place. So, as far as starting characters, again, at some point I will have a start that is not some combination of Acolyte, Dora, and Justinian. Today is not that day, so yeah, I'm starting those because they're solid. And then we're going to start 3 copies of Black Sun Shieldman. This is one of those level 1 devs that 4th edition printed to try to get you to not play Gene Court Initiate. I didn't really play this guy too much in 4th edition. I'm really only playing him here because he's a fighter. And again, with Jodin, I kind of want to use that other ability, that +2 attack and +1 armor class. So yeah, and these guys also are extremely resistant to range strikes too. 3 of these together have an armor class of 18 versus range strikes, which is pretty good. Even the high value range strikes can kind of struggle to hit that sometimes. So, as far as other characters go, because the point of this build is to try to pit fight to win the game, I'm trying to buff Jodin as much as I can. His stats aren't bad, like his attacks are pretty good. Actually, I think they're a bit on the high side. But they're not high enough. So we're going to be running 3 copies of Brother Domini, who is this is a freak. One of the better freaks they've ever made. Probably not balanced in any way. As long as Brother Domini is in the rank with a fighter, all characters in this rank get +3 attack and armor class. That counts for each copy of Domini that's there. And it also doesn't have to be a freak, and he doesn't need to be ready to do this. So when you play him, because he's not a dev, he'll enter play stunned. But +3 is, so that puts his AC up to 14, which is not terrible for, actually pretty good for a level 1 character. And at times, these guys kind of just function as almost like extra hit points for Jodin, because people will they'll try to kill these off first instead of him. So, yeah, along with those, we've got 3 copies of Vauxgen. This guy came out of, I believe, Light and Shadow. This is kind of like Brother Domini, but it's not really as good. His stats aren't as good. His AC is lower by 1. His ability only affects evil devs, and it doesn't take place on the first turn. It also doesn't affect himself. If you have 2 of these, they will affect each other, but it'll only be +3. Everybody else will be getting +6. These also won't affect Domini, which is unfortunate. They do benefit from Domini, which is nice. But these are, again, most of the time, almost just like extra hit points for Jodin, because, again, they'll try to kill these guys off. So that's some of the character ways of buffing him. Another level 1 character that I'm running is Relian Guard. So Relian Guard is really interesting with Jodin. He gives you +1 initiative, which is kind of nice. Actually, I kind of like winning initiative, and that's something that devs do really well. Relian Guard has a bonus to attack and armor class equal to the highest level of a dev in this rank. A lot of the times, this is only going to be +5. With Jodin, it's +6, which is, that would give him +6 attack and 17 armor class. But he's also a dev fighter, and so because of that, if Jodin is within 1 rank of him, he's getting an extra +2 attack and +1 armor class. So this is a level 1 character with +8 attack and 18 armor class, as long as Jodin's in the same rank as him. That's the stat line is very, very good. The interesting thing too is, one of the things with Jodin, again, is you want to try to be generating strikes, and the card Outmatched, which we're also going to be running 3 copies of, this action is level 1, so the Relian Guard can play this, and if you're worried about Jodin getting exhaustion, either he's spent and you don't want the strike to get cancelled, or you don't want them spending him because he played this, and your meta plays exhaustion, you can have the Relian Guard play this instead, and +8 hits a lot of things that are falling forward, so I think that's pretty awesome. Just a fun little character. As far as the other backup guys here, we've got 3 copies of Theodore Dilchat. This guy, if you are able to play him turn 1, he grabs you a steed from your deck, which is nice because once you are at the front, the steeds don't really do Jodin any good for the most part, and Theodore can both grab you one that's level 5 or lower, but he's also a body too, and on turn 1, he'll get a permanent +3 attack, which is kind of nice. He himself has riding, so if you draw him a little bit later and Jodin's already up in the front, gets to the front a little bit faster. If you don't play him on turn 1, you move him forward and you give a character in your first rank +5 attack and armor class. Again, ideally this is going to be Jodin, but even on something smaller, +5 attack and armor class, that's a big buff. So if things have gone horribly wrong, you might be able to hide behind that for a little bit. I think he's great. And then we've also got 3 copies of Thibaud Relian out of 4th edition. he also gives your Warlord +1 to initiative rolls. That's kind of the only reason I want to play this guy. Between these guys and the Aurelian Guards, along with Justinian, assuming it's still alive. Again, even just a simple +2, maybe +3 to your initiative, that can be important and help you win more often than I think people realize. I've had so many games where, again, the initiative, we're either tied or I'm down by 1, and just getting that extra little bonus to win and hopefully help you play a pit fight before they can do anything, kind of nice. He does have his little baby leveled ability too. Once per game, after winning initiative by 10 or more, he permanently gets +3 attack, armor class, and 1 hit point. This doesn't happen too often unless you're really building for it, but when it happens, I mean, it's great. So, and he's a Deverenian fighter, so he gets that buff from Jodin. And again, he can equip any steeds and try to move forward, assuming Jodin's already there. And then we also have, as far as fighting guys left, we have a single copy of the Sable Knight. I would run 3 of these if I could, because this guy's awesome, but he's epic. He's a dev hero out of 4th edition. Your Warlord gains +3 to initiative rolls. Again, winning initiative is nice. Amazing stat block, and once per turn, after a character you control performs an order, you may perform a decree. This basically just buys you an extra action. This guy, I think, should almost be in every dev deck. I think this guy's incredible. Again, great stats, 3 hit points, +3 to initiative, and again, pseudo extra action every turn. Really, really solid. And it's ancient, so of course we've got 1 copy of Tauren, and we've got a copy of Halo of Secrets. So not too many of these characters are innately just I want to punch you characters, but between Jodin's buff and between the Valkshans and the Dominies, a lot of them they have fairly decent attack stats, assuming that you can keep them alive. So as far as Jodin's toys go, like his equipment, he does have that you may equip 2 weapons trait. I do really like that. But it actually, in my opinion, it is kind of a trap. Instead of running weapons, because if you can't equip 2 of the same weapon, because you can't have 2 of the same item, you're probably going to need to run anywhere from 3 to 5 different weapons in order for him to actually be able to equip 2 of them. And the deck is already starved for space anyway. In my opinion, you're better off just ignoring that and playing Monkey's Paws. From an optimization standpoint, Monkey's Paws gives you an extra wound, it gives you an extra strike. It also gives you defend, which that is actually kind of nice for helping to keep some, like your Dominies or your Valkstrian alive. So yeah, while I think Monkey's Paws is better, I'm Jodin Drac and I want 2 weapons. So got a bunch of pointy things here for him. We have copy of Axe of Turgoth for the extra swing, copy of Great Axe for the extra wound. Again, these Monkey Paws does both of these and a little bit more for the cost of only 1 card. But yeah. But we also got a copy of Sigil Sword here, because, you know what? Planar is like the worst thing ever. It's the worst thing ever. When Jodin's got like +29 to his attack, not that, well, it might be that. He's got a huge attack bonus, and it's like, your pit fight is ready, and all you have to do is land it, but you have to roll evens. Yeah, Sigil Sword gets around that, which is kind of nice. It is level 7, but he can equip this in rank 1 because of that glorious level 6. We also have a copy of Dancing Scimitar. This weapon came out of, I think Sands of Oblivion? Yeah. I'm actually a really big fan of this weapon. So it gives you +3 attack. It is level 7. It's also a rogue item. Your character's melee strikes may not be cancelled, so that's part of what Silverwind does, which is what I would probably normally run instead. So they can't stealth it, they can't cancel it with things, but it's also got this other interesting ability here. Once per turn, after a melee strike roll against this character, gain +3 AC for the duration of the strike. The important thing about that is that the react is used after the roll, so this probably never gets wasted because you only use it when you need to. So since he's going to be on the front lines, he's probably attracting quite a bit of hate, so I like this weapon quite a bit. Also have a copy of Ancient Scimitar. This does several things too. It gives you a little bit of attack. After you kill a character, once per turn, you can attempt a DC 21 minus their level to remove a wound from this fighter. So you can use this to kind of heal them a little bit. The check is usually kind of high, so I don't know how often that would actually come into play. But this also removes the target from the game after it dies. So it's an attack buff. It's kind of unreliable healing, but it's also, you know, recursion removal at the same time. So if you don't have room for Caller of Damnation, which I don't have room in this deck, I have that. So again, the Monkey's Paws is probably better, but this is what I roll with for the moment because I just like it. I think it's cool. Got a copy of Bruntor's Helm to give him a little bit of extra survivability. If you are doing the Monkey's Paws route, this is probably better off as a Black Sun Helm because Jodin can't equip the Monkey's Paws in rank 1 because he's even with level 6 he's not high enough level. So another high level item here, or quasi high level item here, is you have Spiked Shield. This is just giving you an extra swing because again, when the pit fight happens, you want it to be giving you as many strikes as possible. Yeah, and then for armor, I'm running Ablung's Plate with him. I actually really, really like this armor a lot. This came out of the 20th anniversary set. +4 armor class, so that's, that's full plate stats right there. It's level 7, and Mercs get +1 level for equipping it, so 5th level Merc fighters can still equip this in rank 1. Jodin doesn't need that because he's at level 6. But this has a react after this fighter is targeted by a ranged strike. Spend and stun and equipped armor, gauntlet, or shield. The strike is a critical failure. So this is, in addition to being just +4 armor class, this is fairly good defense against range strikes. Obviously, it's not going to defend you against a huge amount of it, but I mean, even just this and a shield, that's two range strikes that you can cause to become critical failures. And against some decks, that might be enough to keep you alive from, I don't know if it's the super high value one where they're just waiting for you to become spent. They're holding the Assassin's Arrow or 2 Assassin's Arrows, and yeah, this can kind of put a. They can still probably make it work, but it makes it a little bit more difficult. We got a copy of Gloves of Mercy as a gauntlet. You can't play this with Monkey's Paws, but since I'm not playing Monkey's Paws in this, we got that. We also have the Bracers of Ogre Power for even more wounding, because again, you want the pit fight to end the game. And then a single copy of Havadion's Stance for an extra strike. Stacks with pretty much everything. So yeah, I like those. That's kind of his I don't know, that's his gear right there. As far as steeds go, again, we have Theodore's Ilchant that can grab a couple of these. We got one copy of Griffin and one copy of Noble Steed. Griffin, the rank fixing thing is nice. This is actually should probably be a chariot, but Noble Steed gives you riding, which is kind of nice, and the movement can't be reacted to, which is also kind of nice. We also have a single copy of Battle Rhino. This seed is pretty much only in here because it gives you power attack, but the power attack can actually be really, really important for him, especially if you're not playing this exactly the same way I'm playing it. One of the old builds I had, it ignored almost everything about Jodin except try to play the pit fight and try to end the game. And so what the plan was to hopefully Dreamland. I think this only happened a handful of times, but it was so glorious when it happened. It also wasn't very entertaining when it happened. Is your first action is you equip a Battle Rhino, and you react to that with Oblique Hound, and yeah, that shoves you up to rank 1 immediately. You are ready in rank 1 with power attack. If you're holding the pit fight, they may only get a single action before the game is over, because it's like, you can't really move away from me because you can't move into rank 4 unless, I don't know, you're playing dwarves and you put like a Prince Alaric in front of you or something. And a +8 and a +6 along with power attack +10 and a Dora or 2 Doras or Justinians. When it happened, it was glorious. It was really kind of dumb, but it was yeah. I know I'm contradicting myself there. It was both. It was both really fun and not very entertaining, I think, for the other player. Not especially entertaining for me either. It was hilarious. I'll stop talking about that. But so that's the item set there. Theodore Dilchant can't grab the Battle Rhino, but they can grab the other 2 steeds. So between these 3 steeds and those 3 characters, that's 6 cards on turn 1 that can get you a steed. Maybe not super reliable, but again, I'm not trying to play the I'm rushing to pit fight immediately. It's just, yeah, this is just what I'm playing right now. As far as actions, again, I mentioned we're playing pit fight and we're playing outmatched. Because he's level 6, Jodin can also very handily play Hand of Might. So this is a level 6 fighter action. Monks can play it as if they were fighters. All it is order, perform an attack without spending. So with all the strike generation items that I am giving him, hopefully this is going to net you. Dreamland, this is getting you like 5 swings. It's probably not. It's probably getting you 3. But again, you can play this while you're spent, and they might exhaustion it, or they might cancel it by some way, but it's like a Bear Soul, but all your strikes, which is phenomenal. And again, I think you can play this with some other Warlords, but Jodin's the only one who doesn't need to do anything to play it, which is pretty awesome. And like I said, we've got 3 copies of Bear Soul. Perform a melee strike. You can shuffle in your deck. And just, yeah, it's just strike generation. If the pit fight gets canceled, or for whatever reason it doesn't work, you don't want him just sitting there and not doing anything. So, you know, between Outmatch, between Hand of Might, and between Bear Soul, you can still generate strikes while you're spent, which is kind of nice. Actually, I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, that is currently what I am doing with Jodin Drac. Like I said, you can build this guy so many different ways. You can go just it's pit fight, and you can run find a way with veiled passing to just, if they try to stop it, you stop them from stopping it, and just go full chips in on that. You can play him kind of more as a kind of a support warlord, or maybe not even supporting, but I guess this would be supporting. You can play things like Inspiring Strike, Breastplate of Power, his own little built-in buff, War Spikes to help the breastplate work even better, and just have him, you know, play, you know, maybe mid-level or high-level devs, have multiple strikes, and just get as much as you can out of all those strikes. Play Deverenian Coronet, things like that. One of the things I mentioned earlier that I think is kind of interesting with Pit Fight is Pit Fight does not require them to swing back at you. Most of the time, I think they will. But what you can do, and I don't do this with him because I do this with Demir instead, but you can play things like Spike Spalders, you can play Mirror Training, you can play things that punish them for hitting you back. And if you're playing against a choppy Warlord, like say you're playing against something like Krun, who, like, if Krun survives, you don't want him swinging back at you. Some of these kind of odd defensive items that you can give him, they might help him, either dissuading them from swinging back, or, you know, say it's Krun. Say you hit him, somehow you only hit him once, or you hit him twice and he's not quite dead. If he's only got 1 hit point left and you're wearing a Spiked Spalders, or what is it, Beast Knight's Mail, something like that, he might not even want to swing back at you because it might kill him for doing so, which I think is kind of neat. At some point I'm going to go over a deck like that, probably Sorceress Grain, which is kind of built around that whole you have to punch me but you don't want to punch me theme, but that's not here. That's yeah, wow, that's a jarring conclusion to this, but yeah, that's pretty much what I had to say about Jodin Drac. Love this guy. Again, most people I know like him, like they don't dislike him, like because he's cool. He's just a cool, you know, fighter warlord who tries to pit fight you, and he's level 6. You can build him as an item build deck, kind of like what King Zod does, and play high level items. You know, if he's sitting in rank 3 and you put on a Black Sun helm, you can equip 10th level items, which is, yeah, that's pretty awesome. While I think that's doable, you don't quite have the same item support that dwarves do. You don't have supply, you don't have labor, you don't have Denali Sagebound. There's just a lot of things that I think make dwarves do that better. Devs can potentially make up for the fact that I think some of their support characters might be a bit stronger. Again, you have Halo of Secrets, you have Prioress Sophique, you have Mother Deanne, you do have things that once you are up at the front and once you're not worried about your items, you know, having to throw them on, it might perform better. I don't know if that's the case or not, but I think I'm also rambling at this point, so thanks for checking this out, guys. Yeah, God bless you all, and I will catch you in the next video.